Welcome to Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen. It is another beautiful cooking evening, I should say. It's probably about 9 o'clock at night. With that in mind, my dog Rosie's cuddled onto the couch, and I myself have thrown together some ingredients for a very simple, fast, and easy chowder that you and your whole family can enjoy. It is a traditional potato chowder with a little twist. So with that in mind, I have 5 potatoes, 1 onion. I'm going to cut part of this pepper to give it a little zest, to give a little warmth inside your stomach. And I got 2 cans of creamed corn, 50% less fat on a turkey bacon. I'm going to use part of this, and we're going to use water, chicken bouillon, and some older carrots to bring out some of the hearty taste of vegetables. Later on, we will also be putting together another wonderful and fast meal for you. With that in mind, first we are going to take the crock pot and we are going to pour the water into it. That way we can let it heat up while the rest of the, usually I put the ingredients in first, but we're going to put a little bit of water in the bottom. And then we are going to sprinkle some of our spices in there. What I've got is a chicken flavored soup base. It's got a lot of high salt, but I'm just going to sprinkle a little in there. I usually like to judge by just sprinkling. Since we're going to be feeding quite a few people, I'm starting out with a very small base. And so far I put about, let's see, about 1/2 quart of water into a 1½ quart crock pot with about a tablespoon of chicken-based soup, chicken flavored soup base. Next thing we're going to do, which I almost forgot, is we are going to get a little bit of butter in there. We're going to let the butter settle in the bottom. I got some of this churned butter and it's very delicious. So I'm going to take the rest of what I got in this and put a little bit of butter in there. Some people can use cream. It is going to be a white chowder, so it's going to be needing to use, you're going to find either milk or cream in a can, or just, for some people, they use flour and water and make a nice white base. So that in mind, we also do not want to forget your salt and pepper. With that in mind, I will be right back with more of the ingredients, and then we'll start chopping vegetables. Now I've got my pepper and salt. Pepper and salt with chowders is a very important thing. I've already used a lot of chicken soup base, so I'm going to only put a little bit of salt in, but as it cooks, you add a little salt to taste. I've also changed my salt to sea salt, which is a lot healthier than a normal salt. And now I'm going to add some pepper. The pepper will be good to keep you open and fight any colds and keep your tummy nice and warm. It's healthy, gives a nice zest, and spices are a wonderful addition to any soup. I'm also going to add, voila, I love it, a little bit of garlic salt. But we're going to do, since garlic salt is extremely, garlic salt can be very strong, so we're going to add just a pinch of the garlic salt in there, just a couple pinches of garlic salt in there. And then one of my favorite things I have to add, since I am Italian, I use a lot of Italian seasonings. I'm going to put these out of the way. So coming up is some Italian seasoning. Again, I put the Italian seasoning into my hand. I like to select my seasonings, but I also like to find seasonings that are on sale. Also, what is really fun is growing your own seasonings and drying them yourself, which is something I'm going to talk about next year when I have my first herb garden. It'll be very exciting. The next thing, and I'm going to put aside the extra water. I am going to bring the crock pot over to the other counter because that way I have room to be cutting my soup vegetables while I'm heating up the base for the soup. So I'll be right back and we'll talk to you about how to safely and quickly cut your vegetables, potatoes, and your onions and peppers. Right back on Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen. Hello and welcome back to Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen and the Autumn Chowder segment. I have got 3 carrots. Since we're going to be eating for an army. Quite a lot of people at the Shindigalicious tomorrow. I'm going to have enough hearty vegetables for everybody. So with that in mind, I'm going to take a nice serrated knife, and I'm going to cut 3 at a time. Some people don't. I've washed them, and I don't need to peel them because they're nice and fresh, and I'm just going to cut them in round, cubed. They'll be cut across in round strips. And I'm not going to make them really small because they will be cooking overnight. So I don't want them to be really soggy. I want to be nice and hearty because we're going to be feeding this to people here tomorrow at about 1 o'clock. Again, I'm going to make this soup base and then I will add a lot to it. I'm going to be moving this small amount into my soup base Dutch oven. Ooh, we got a call from somebody. I wonder who the call is from. Oh, my sister. Well, I'll have to check with her. She might say, I'm going to come over and help you tomorrow set this up. Who knows? But with that in mind, we're going to call her later and continue to cut the carrots. It is about 11:30 on a Friday night, October 19th, the day before the 20th, 2007. This is the first fall show of the season. We just wrapped up with a review show, and coming up will be, unless you've already seen it, what is coming up is a Pike Street Market adventure and being on the beach this last September. It was pretty fun. So with that in mind, when you're cutting and you get down to the very edge of your carrots, rather than cut your hands, throw them aside and give them to a friend or a neighbor. If they have a rabbit, give it to them for that. And then I have a wooden bowl to throw my vegetables into. Very delicious and local produce from the Saturday market here in Missoula, Montana. Speaking of which, I think we have one more Saturday market. I'm not sure. So those carrots are in there. Next thing we do, we always make sure that we are always washing our hands. The next thing I got is a local pepper from a gentleman in Victor. It's huge. It's organic. I don't know. It's looks very delicious. And so we're going to use part of this pepper for the soup base, and then we're going to take the other part of it for maybe a refried bean dip for later. So what I do is I cut the top off, usually, because that's where most of the seeds are, and then I core out the seeds into a colander. This is somewhat like you do with a bell pepper. As you can see, this is the inside, and there's a bunch of seeds in there. So you want to make sure so you don't get bitter taste in your soup. You make sure you clean that out. It is a little bit hotter than a bell pepper. And if you have open sores or anything when you're dealing with onions or peppers, look, isn't that just cool? I got a big, huge pepper finger. Isn't that just cool? I'll rinse that out. What I'll do is I'll take and get some cold water in there, and that'll help flush the rest of those seeds out. And then, see, as you can tell, it's pretty clean inside. I'll take some of the rind out of there, the white rind in there. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm moving the carrots aside. We can cut the pepper on the same board as the carrots because it is vegetables. But you do keep your fruits and vegetables separate from your meats and cheeses, always and forever. So with that in mind, I am going to cut a couple of slices of this. It's just like a bell pepper. And boy, do we see some color, just like the autumn harvest. And boy, it's going to be shin-digalicious. I hope to see you there. And I hope you have some great recipes for me as well. So with that in mind, I cut half of the pepper. I put the rest of it aside. I am going to take now, and then I am going to flatten a couple. I'm going to stack them up a couple at a time. And I'm going to cross-cut these things, and then I will then strip them very easily. Sometimes it's best to cut, always keep the knife on the board like I told you before, and usually I'll use a smaller knife, but because I'm in such a hurry tonight, and I'm saving on silverware, I am using one knife to cut it, but you make sure that your knives are sharp. And I'm making it into some small, tasty little bits to make and add some zest to the soup. This will be exciting because this autumn chowder is the first autumn chowder that I've ever made. It's kind of an adaptation that I saw, and I have ideas from it and my own creamy potato soup that I did a couple days ago. And we'll be adding some really exciting stuff to it. So with that in mind, this pepper has been chopped as small as it's going to be. I'm going to kind of keep it chunked because it'll be kind of fun in the soup. Little cubes as far as I can, and we're going to slide it into the soup. Okay, that'll make a nice warm, zesty taste to it. The next thing we are going to do, this calls for an onion, and I've rinsed the onion off, and what I am going to be doing is I am going to be cutting the onion in half. You see the serrated edge on this knife. Usually you can use this as a bread knife, but I have chosen, because it's got a serrated edge, to cut this. It's very sharp, so I am going to start from the center, and I'm going to start sawing carefully across. And as you can see, the reason you don't use this kind of bread knife is it's not strong enough to cut an onion. So what we are going to do is get a knife that has a rounded vegetable edge that you cut with, and this thing will not be used because it will be bent. I just wanted to show you that this is not the right knife to use for cutting onions. And that in mind, I'll be right back in Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen with autumn chowder goodies. When we're looking for a knife to cut heartier or heavier vegetables, you want a knife that has a little bit of strength to it. As you notice, this is more of a butter and fillet knife somewhat, and that's really flexible, and when you're cutting vegetables, it can go all over and you get cut. With this knife, it's a little less flimsy, and it's made for cutting vegetables. With that in mind, we're going to do a nice, easy, even slice. We're going to push ourselves down carefully, and we're going to guide it down carefully. We're not going to force it down, and we always make sure that we know where our knife is on the board. I have taken part of the onion to the side. Some of the, since I haven't talked for a while, I'm kind of hemming and hawing. I'm a little bit tired today. I am going to take the outside of the onion off, and what I normally do is I will rinse it underneath a thing of cold water so that the eyeballs do not get where you start crying. So it depends on the kind of onions that I have. And again, don't have open wounds when you're cutting with pepper. In that case, you'll want to wear gloves. I've washed my hands really well with antibacterial soap at least 30 minutes under hot, warm water. You use a napkin or something, paper towel, to shut off the water so that it does not cause germs. And make sure that your surfaces are clean and clear. I use something that's antibacterial. I'm not going to say use bleach or use certain products. You need to just make sure that it is safe for the environment and safe for you and your family and your pets. With that in mind, I am cutting at an angle the onion. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of cutting into itself so that I can keep myself from crying. And then we're going to turn it over to the other side and do the same thing. We're kind of cutting it into itself. And then we will be dicing and slicing it, and how exciting is that? And then that will go into the carrots with the peppers. And then the big thing will be, some people like the potato skins on, some don't, but we are going to be peeling the potato skins because I'm not sure if some people are sensitive to potato skins. My dad is, and it's hard to break it down. So with that in mind, you can see how I have the onions here. I cut them lengthwise and then in half, and now I'm going to just cut them down and cube them. With that in mind, I'm holding this together, and I can still use the same knife. Carefully, I keep this down. Sometimes I use a bigger cutting board. We're going to be cutting downward into little strips, and boy, I love sharp knives. You start from the edge, you make sure you know where the edge of your knife is, and if it's hard for you to control, you need to get less in your knife and work it around. Now, I am starting to have onion eyes, so we're going to slow down here, and we're going to put these onions quickly out of our eyeball reach, okay? So, this is a white onion, and I think it's going to be plenty and delicious for this soup. There's a lot of onion here. It's going to be hearty. It says to use half an onion, so that is just what we are going to do. Amen. Goodbye, onion, as I bawl. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm crying with onions. Next thing you need to do is, as fast as you possibly can, I'll take and cover my onions and with possibly even a paper towel, but have a sip of my cocoa, which is delicious to have while I am doing my show. Mm-mm. If you'd like to be on my show and have a fun and crazy time, I like comedy. I like you. I want you on Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen, so you better give me a call at 239-2264 or email me at Kelly, oh yeah, Kelly Hay at MSN.com. Right here on MCAT, I will be going statewide, so I may be coming to your neck of the woods soon, so tune in. With that in mind, we're having some more cocoa. Oh yeah. It's definitely a late night. So the next section we're going to be doing is cutting the potatoes. And I am going to wipe off the counter so we don't have residual onion. Yeah, always have a nice white rag available so you can then brush the onions off of the counter. So, we'll be right back with Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen. I need to... This is a potato. We're going to do 4 to 5 of these potatoes. And so what I'm going to do is I have a potato peeler, and I just learned something new today. If you're gentle with potatoes, it's great. I'm going to be peeling them over the sink. And sometimes, like I said before, a quicker way of doing the potatoes is taking a paring knife and starting on the outside and going all the way around and guiding and knowing where your finger is. See, the paring knife, taking carefully going off in strips. Remember what I showed you how to do the veggie stew a while back? Well, I do the same thing with the potatoes here. I take the edge and I'll do edges instead of going all the way around like some people tend to do and leaving a big string to hang. Sometimes I'll use it for hash browns, sometimes I'll use these for hash browns. I will just do it in strips because it's a lot safer for people who are just learning how to cook, and it also saves your fingers from being cut off. Okay, with that in mind, we have a nice hearty potato here. That's one. Hello, welcome back. I'm going to show you how you take the potato. We're not going to cut it really small because it's going to be cooking for a while, and people like hearty, yummy potatoes when they're having an autumn chowder. Especially since it's a chowder, it's going to be thick. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be cutting it shortwise into fourths. And then we are then going to be cutting it down the middle in quads. And again, if it's huge, into another set of quads. That makes us a nice sized potato that cooks slowly, but it'll be really delicious for people. If you want it a little bit smaller, then you can cut it maybe one more. You can dice it down. I'm going to do maybe a little bit smaller since we may have people who have dentures. And with people with dentures, you kind of got to think ahead, or people with small children, you want to cut things a little bit smaller. We are putting all of our vegetables and our carrots, our onions, our peppers, and our potatoes into the same wooden bowl. The wooden bowl brings out so much flavor. It's going to be delicious when we have it all together and throw it into the pot. As you remember earlier when I did the veggie stew, I put the potatoes on the bottom, and then I put the next largest, and next smallest vegetable, because the potatoes take a lot longer to cook, so you want to put them more towards the heat. And then you can stir them in, and then takes about 2.5 to 3 hours for a nice warm stew. The longer it cooks, though, the better it is. And in a crock pot, the size that I have, the 1.5 quart, you're looking at probably lasting a person, 1 or 2 people, for about 4 to 5 meals, or meaning about 2 to 3 days worth. The last potato soup I had was a little different. I used some scalloped potatoes and cheese in mine because it was a lot quicker, and a cream-based soup. It lasted me about that. So you can feed yourself for probably about a week on the lunches, and you and another person for about 3 days on a hearty, wonderful, good-tasting soup with toast or biscuits or whatever your heart desires, with even a nice hot cup of coffee in your favorite mug, curl up to your favorite movie, hang out with your favorite mutt like my dog Rosie May, or listen to a nice tape on on the cassette and read a favorite book. We'll be right back, and I'll show you some more of the stuff we're going to be putting into the stew. Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen. And it's Shin-Digalicious. As you can tell, we got lots of delicious potatoes, and this is enough to probably feed a couple people, like I said, for 4 to 5 days. I'm going to be doing small increments of this, and then I'm going to make it into a big, I'm going to put the small crockett pot into a big, this is going to be a soup base. This is autumn chowder. We've got small cube potatoes, 3 carrots, I got like 5 potatoes in here, 3 carrots, and half an onion and half a pepper. So with that in mind, we're going to take this now and we are going to throw it into the crock pot. And I just went and I stirred the crock pot. We got a nice thick soup base, and that's going to be really exciting for us to see. With that in mind, we're going to take you over to the soup and see what's a cooking. Autumn chowder on Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen. I'm adding about 1.5 cups of soy milk, which will make it nice and creamy. As you notice, I haven't yet added the ingredients of the potatoes, carrots, or the dried potatoes yet, because we're still making the soup base, and then we can add that in a moment, but we're gonna do it really slowly. I want to stir this in, and what you want to do is you make sure that you stir it in really well with a wooden spoon, starting from the bottom, working your way to the top. We did put 2 cans of cream corn in here. This corn chowder is going to be to die for, and is going to be so delicious. And it's a chowder. I'm thinking you can make it as brothy or as thick as you would like. Potatoes are good even raw. Starchy too. I'm going to carefully spoon these vegetables in. Normally I would put them in the bottom before I cook this, but being it's a chowder, we wanted to cook the base a little bit more. So a little at a time, I'm just sliding them right on in. And carefully, but surely, because they'll plop if I don't. I mean, we're going to make a mess anyway, so we're just sliding them all in there. Look how delicious it is. Going to be a full pot of chowder. That smells so delicious. Oh my God, I can't wait to have a taste. And it's probably going to go pretty fast tomorrow. I'm going to stir in these ingredients. And later on, we will be putting in a turkey bacon, but I'm waiting until this cooks a little bit more. And we will be cooking the turkey bacon outside the pot. And we will be adding this all to a bigger pot later. So it'll take probably about 2 to 3 hours to cook on high, and then it'll be soft enough where I can transfer it, that I could add more milk and cream to make a bigger broth, add some more potatoes, and a little turkey bacon, and maybe even some more corn, and we'll have ourselves a beautiful big pot of autumn chowder. Welcome back to Kelly Lynn's Creative Kitchen and the Autumn Chowder Series. I bought a turkey bacon. It's 50% less fat and salt. It was smoked. So what we're going to do, instead of cooking it, I thought I was going to fry it and cook it. Since it's so lean, we are going to cut it into small cubes with the scissors. These are what you call scissors that are used for food, and they're really good, especially when you don't want to kill your hands. And they will then throw them directly into the stew to cook with the rest of the stuff. So with that in mind, I have all of this. So I'm going to cross cut like so. And it'll be nice, even, long strips, and then we will go back through and cut them again. Be careful. This helps save your fingers, but at the same time, you want to be kind of careful cutting this stuff. What we will be doing is taking this group and cutting it into fourths. And that'll be a nice size to be put into the stew, the autumn chowder. It'll be very, very delicious. I am not sure how many people are coming, but with a potluck, the great thing about a potluck is everybody brings a dish, and there's more than meets the eye, and that means you don't have to make a whole bunch for an army. So I'm making them a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to cut them back down. They're kind of getting a little bit unmanageable. So we're going to go back through and kind of go through and kind of just kind of cut them till they're small enough that I think they're small to kind of go through. Kind of chop them up just a little bit. I like doing it like this somewhat. This is sharp enough where I can do this. And it's on a nice wooden board. Remember, you keep your vegetable boards separate from your meat board. If you are a vegetarian, you don't need meat. Potatoes are good enough for you. Okay? I cut these down to some nice little cube sizes, and now we're going to put them into the stew. See what we got here? We've got a nice cut turkey bacon, 50% less fat, which means if you have cholesterol problems, this is the best way. Always look for your cholesterol, your polyunsaturated fats compared to your saturated fats. This is a great alternative to your fat pork bacon. And I'm on a cholesterol diet, so I've kind of got to go with what tastes good but what's also healthy. Healthy first. So with that in mind, I'll be right back with more Kelly Lynn's Autumn Chowder. It's shin-digalicious. Oh, yeah. We are going to now add the bacon. So I'm going to bring a knife over here, so it'll be great to kind of slither it in there, little at a time, and we're going to kind of go across the top with the bacon. It's already been smoked, so that means it'll cook very nicely in the stew. I cannot wait to taste it. It looks very delicious. It tasted very delicious. And give it a couple hours, every half hour. Give it a nice stir to make sure it doesn't thicken and stick and burn to the bottom. And cook it on high. And then make sure, of course, here's a big thing that happened to me last time, veggie stew. I forgot to turn it on. So make sure it's on high. And like I said, you stir every half hour. Well, with that in mind, we've got everything in the autumn chowder. Got to put the lid back on. I'm going to use the knife a little bit to kind of stir it in there. See, let's start from the beginning. Our base products are, let's see, a quart of water, 2.5 cups of soy milk, some butter, couple teaspoons of butter. Then we have some powdered ingredients of the chicken soup base. I threw in a scalloped potato cheese sauce with some dried scalloped potatoes. I added a pinch of Italian seasoning, some salt and pepper, and you can also season to taste if you like. Definitely a little garlic salt. Then for the vegetables, I added lots and lots of potatoes, 3 carrots, a half an onion, a half a pepper, and then we added about 11 slices of bacon cubed up. And what else did we add here? We added, I can't think. A lot of love, and we added maybe about a tablespoon of, or maybe half a cup of the cornstarch to help thicken it up. And we have it with lots of love and stirring, and you've got yourself an autumn chowder to die for. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at the Shin-Digalicious with a lot more goodies.